I serve cold with the Wolves and the Hawks never shiver in the snow. The Bulls keep it running, the Sox run the South, the Cubs run the North, but the Bears run the house. True Chicago sports fans got their ears to the street. Any team make a move and they never skip a beat. And in this house, this is where we be. Welcome to the show with E-Rock and Big Z.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the True Chicago Sports Fan Cave, this is the TCSF podcast with your hosts, E-Rock and Big Z.
Yeah.
Episode 56 is brought to you by 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, ACSI, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Get your official TCSF t-shirts now.
Go and get them.
As always, I'm Big Z, and I'm here with my co-host, my boy, E-Rock. What up, E?
What's good? See, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in. If you are a first-timer or a long-timer, please remember to hit that subscribe button, that notify button, and go ahead and give us a review on your listening app of choice. And don't forget, you can support the show with a monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Shoot over there, click on the support button, and you can have a couple of different options to be able to support the show and become a subscriber. Today's guest is a huge Cubs fan. Finally, we got a Cubs fan. Finally, we got a Cubs fan. He is a certified comic book aficionado, and you can catch his show, The Fly Nerd Group, on Twitch and YouTube. The one and only Sean Akins, a.k.a. Cochise SoulStar, joins us today.
Man, I can't wait to talk about these crazy Chicago baseball trades. The trade deadline was out of this world. We get to talk about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Cubs fans not happy right now.
Hey, guess what? We finally get to talk about the Cubs because we always have White Sox guests, and I've seen people on the page be like, "Hey, how come you guys don't do any Cubs news and any Cubs anything?"
I'm not in charge of Cubs news on the page. I do my White Sox stuff. I do my job.
We're trying, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to give you Cubs news, but unfortunately, they haven't been giving us good news for most of the season. But Z, let me tell you real quick a little bit about our friends over at ACSI. With over 50 expert technicians in the Chicagoland area, ACSI offers a one-stop shop for telecom wiring. Whether residential cable installation, fiber to the home, or commercial structured cable wiring. Z, let me tell you the most impressive thing about ACSI. During these hard times, the ACSI crew did their thing during the COVID-19 pandemic, and ACSI was awarded Hacia's 2020 Contractor of the Year award. The best part is that ACSI is growing bigger and better than ever. ACSI is now hiring for field sales, technicians, and project managers. Check out acsi.tech, that's ACSI Tech, and click on careers to apply today.
Go get you a job.
This week, we are all Chicago baseball. Like I said, our boy Cochise SoulStar is in the house. He's guest hosting with us the whole show. We're going to talk about all these crazy trade deadline moves. We're going to talk about our all-time favorite Chicago Cubs players and memories. And we also talk about his hip-hop career and our thoughts about Lollapalooza.
You can put your shorts away.
All right, y'all. Before we get to all of that, let's hear a quick word from our friends over at Anchor. Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with E-Rock and Big Z.
Yeah.
It's time to touch bases with our baseball teams. And with us today is a huge Cubs fan. I finally got us a Cubs fan, ladies and gentlemen.
They're hiding.
We're not going to talk about how many fans exist on both sides of town, all right?
No, you got us on that. You beat us on that.
But check it out. My homie, Sean Akins, a.k.a. Cochise SoulStar, is here to talk Cubs and Sox. We're going to talk about Sox too. But I got my Cubs fan here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 3 Up and 3 Down.
I think I'll perplex him with my slow ball.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
All right. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Super excited to have you on the show, man. Eddie needs a little bit of balance on the show now. He needs some Cub people on the show. So, we got to give him, especially this week, you got to give you guys your voice, let you guys vent, let you guys express your feelings. hopefully you're not as dramatic like some Cub fans that I've seen on the internet burning their jerseys, which they should never do, because those guys were awesome for your team.
All right, listen. Before we,
I'm not on the extreme spectrum. I'm definitely a hardcore fan, but I'm also realistic.
Yes, thank you.
But this week was something.
It was one for the ages, and I was texting with the guys here, and I said, this has been the most exciting trade deadline in the last 20 years.
Absolutely. No matter the team, all across
everybody was wheeling and dealing, and you're like, where is this guy going? And then the guys that were supposed to move, like Trevor Story, never left Colorado.
Right.
Sorry, bro.
So let me do this first. I want to say a couple things, maybe talk some of these Cubs fans off the ledge. Okay. I know. Rizzo, he was the one that caught that last out in the World Series. Okay.
Yep.
Grounder to Bryant, over to first. Rizzo with the out, ball in the pocket. I love Rizzo.
And in the air, yep.
I love Rizzo.
Yeah.
He's 32 with back problems. He's gone to the Yankees, and he's already done great things with them. I think he was, aside from Joe DiMaggio, one of the only players with so many home runs and so many hits and so on and so forth. Rizzo will be fine.
He'll be fine in New York.
Okay. Javi, we love Javi. We talked about him being the heart and soul for the Puerto Rican community in Chicago. They named a little street or whatever
in Humboldt Park.
In Humboldt Park. We love Javi. But guess what? He's always swinging. And here's the big thing. He was offered a contract. Rizzo was offered a contract. KB was offered a contract. They didn't take those contracts.
The only one to take it was Hendricks.
And good for him, because you know what I mean. Like, I feel like he's with Hendricks. We didn't know what he was going to be when he came over to the
He's
Cubs.
like, I'll take the big payday. Right. I don't know if I'm going to get one, so I'll take the big payday. Yeah.
So this is my thing. All right, we still got Contreras.
Yes, you do.
You still got Hendricks. Okay, these are some leaders of the team.
And you got Hayward too. You know, if you need a speech.
All right. Stop. Because let me tell you something. You're not even giving me the space to talk about my team when so many fans are upset. And I don't do this to you.
No, the lie detector test determined that was a lot.
So no.
We do not. And you can go back and look at the receipts, because we record every single week.
Yes.
And I do not give you a hard time about the White Sox. If anything, I give you props for the White Sox.
You do, because you watch both sides out.
Cubs fan, give me my space. Stop being a Sox
fan.
fan.
I'm gonna sit back now. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna give E his time now. I'm gonna swig on my beer over here and give E his space.
Am I watching a Royce and Lupe thing unfold in front of me right now? Is this Royce and Lupe all over again?
Hey, as long as I'm Lupe, I'm all good with it.
Kick, push, rocks.
All right, no. Like I said, listen, Rizzo is gone. Baez is gone. KB is gone. These are guys that we expected to get traded. Okay,
yes,
we knew for sure that KB and Kimbrough were the biggest trade chips.
Yep.
I think the biggest shock that happened for Cubs fans was that, number one, Rizzo was traded. Number two, he was the first one traded. He was the first chip to fall after Jock Peterson. We like Jock Peterson. He was not a Cub in the sense of these other guys.
You guys weren't invested in an emotional status.
Right.
Not what you're core for.
So
wouldn't you say that the Rizzo trade actually needed to be the first one, because it kind of was the most gut-wrenching? So they just pulled the Band-Aid off right away.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Band-Aid. They stepped on your foot, punched you in the gut, and just slapped you in the face. I mean, that was a brutal one.
It was a lot. But in my opinion, as the other news unfolded, I was actually still stuck on Rizzo till we got to Baez.
Right.
I was stuck on Rizzo till we got to Baez, and we got to Baez, and I was like, "Oh, this is for real. Like, this is it."
Yeah.
So here's my real thing is that, we saw the very beginning of this starting to fall apart. Fowler not coming back and signing with the Cardinals. Okay. Addison Russell knows domestic abuse charges, and it just kind of kept going from there. It just kept going down. Yeah. We saw guys like John Lackey retire. We saw Travis Wood and some of these other players go to other teams. Chapman that came and went. So we saw a lot of guys that were part of that team come in here, do their thing, and move on to other places. Okay. Madden gone. So this is, we saw Ross retire and come back.
Yeah, you lost Lester. You was traded. He was after that, but still.
There's a lot of different pieces, and I think what's happening is that Cubs fans, I think about it this way, is that when we talk about, for example, Blackhawks hockey, a lot of fans in Chicago did not pay attention to Blackhawks hockey until 2009 when they started really kind of getting good.
Right.
And then 10, they won their championship, 13, 15, so on and so forth. And then you kind of get fans that fall off when they're not winning anymore. And that's the case.
Fair weather fans, right?
Just like we saw in 05 with the Chicago White Sox, and then 6 and 7, and we saw them kind of falter back and forth. And then 08 came, and they were in the playoffs again, like the Cubs. So, I mean, you have to understand, as a baseball fan, regardless of what team that you root for, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs and lows. But I think the biggest heart wrench that you have, and I've seen a lot of Cubs fans say, I will never watch the Cubs again.
Yeah, okay.
Understand that these guys that got traded away, they're not dead.
No.
They're still around. This is a move that's looking towards the future.
Yes.
Okay? The Cubs have a lot of really good prospects sitting there waiting to come up. You got Braylon Marquez, Brendan Davis, Miguel Amaya, Christian Hernandez, and Ed Howard, your top 5 prospects. Marquez and Amaya are probably going to be ready to come up this year.
Didn't Amaya come up for a cup of coffee?
He might have when Contreras was. So, I mean, like, we have a lot of good I'm going to go down. Let me finish the top 10 prospects the Cubs have. So I said Marquez, Davis, Amaya, Christian Hernandez, shortstop. And this kid's only 17. Ed Howard is 19. Pete Crow Armstrong, outfielder, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Alexander Canario, 21 years old. I think a guy that you'll probably see next season come up is Alexander Vizcaino, who's 24, a little bit older as far as prospects are concerned. Then you have Cole Franklin and you have Christian Morel. So you have a lot of good players that are getting ready to come up and make an impact. And if you can root for the former Cubs on their other teams, you can still be a fan. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things, and I was actually talking to someone yesterday about like Steph Curry, for example. There's a lot of young kids that are probably getting ready to be teenagers now, or they're in high school now, that became fans of Steph Curry for what he did and became fans of the Warriors for that reason.
Right.
So you can still root for these players. I've seen people, how do I explain to my 8-year-old? Well, first of all, your 8-year-old was only 3 when the Cubs were in the World Series, so I don't know what that's about. It's just your own emotion. But guys, listen, the Cubs are still here. Be a fan of your team and not just the player. You can still root for the player and be excited for your team. It'll be okay, guys. We are still here. Let's look to the future. And don't abandon the Cubs because they traded away your favorite player. The Cubs are trying to get better so they can do it again. So relax.
It's the initial shock. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, overall, what Cubs fans tend, and me being you, and I used to be one of these kind of fans where I didn't separate the emotion from the business.
Yeah.
I didn't look past the season. And once you start looking past the season that you're in, I feel you become a better fan because you realize that what they did was a business move to secure something further down the line. What happens to all championship teams, whether they are a super team, a team that gutted it out, a team of Cinderellas, is that it falls apart eventually at some point. Yeah. And you're never going to be ready for it. You're never going to be set for it to happen. And sometimes it takes the shape of what the 2005 Sox did and what the current Cubs did, which is a fire sale. Both teams have fire sales in their histories. Now, granted, at the time that the Sox made their trade in 2005, I kind of felt it was only slightly premature. It did work out because they weren't that far out of contention for the playoffs. They kind of tanked it and just was like, all right, we're getting rid of everybody. We're quitting on the season. That was how I felt that went. This Cubs team, I feel, is a little different. It had to happen. The farm system that has been developed for the Cubs is amazing, and you have to let it have its place.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that, we're looking at – I've seen a lot of people say, too, that they're disappointed and they want to compare this 2016 Cubs team to the 85 Bears. But you have to, as a Cubs fan, and it's because there was only one.
That's the only thing you can compare it to because it's apples and oranges.
But here's the thing. It was the first championship in
100 years.
108 years.
So, it's special.
And a lot of people are saying, when they talk about one championship versus multiple, and that it applies in every sport now, they're like, well, one is the new none. If you only got one with that team, I'm like, first of all, hold the phone. That's nonsense.
That's bad.
It's a bad take.
Like I said, you guys were good for a good period of time. So it's different with the Bears. They weren't like that. Go ahead,
It's
Sean.
hard to do championships twice.
Yes.
That is hard.
Yeah.
In any sport, whether it be golf, tennis, NBA, NFL, it is hard because if that's the case, it was so easy. The Kansas City Chiefs would have done it twice.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you got
And they
teams.
had the same.
You got teams.
You know, they had all
Go
of
ahead.
that team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, what I was saying is you got teams like the Atlanta in the 90s who were in contention every year in out. They only got one in 10 years. So that's how hard it is.
And that's the thing is that when you look at consider the fact for especially for Cubs fans our age,
You went through to the lows of lows.
We went through the lows, and you know how many people, once the Cubs won the World Series, say, "I wish my dad was here.
Of course.
I wish my grandpa was here. He
Yeah.
watched he watched the Cubs for 60 years and he never got to see this." You know.
Oh man, my Uncle Doc would have loved to have seen that championship. God rest his soul. Because he, like I told you, he took me to so many Cubs games as a kid. He was the reason I became a Cubs fan. Was making that trip from the West Side to Wrigley Field. And we sat in the bleachers in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like I came back from Cubs games like Wesley Snipes. You know what I'm saying? I was cooked out there in that sun.
Yeah.
In my super 80s tank top. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting in the sun, eating peanuts and hot dogs, and watching him slowly drink one beer.
That's how you say it. Yeah, man. Yeah, hey, we didn't really get to this yet, but tell me some of your favorite memories going to the Cubs games with your uncle as a kid.
The best memory was accidentally meeting Sean Dunston.
Okay.
Because it's the 80s. Once we got comfortable and my uncle got comfortable with us getting there, I would actually go to the concession stands by myself. Sometimes. I would just because I would be able to go and make my way back. It's the 80s.
That's the old school kids.
You just have to hope that your kid comes back. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta hope that they come back.
Latchkey kids.
I actually went exploring around.
Of course you do.
And found the area where the locker rooms were, and and security was like not as hardcore then as they are now about like keeping people out. So I was just standing around. And Sean Dunston ran out from the bench, ran out through the locker room, and ran and got a hot dog.
Oh.
So pretty much he ran right past me, and as he came back, he did like the classic, "Oh hey," and touched my head like, "Hey kid," and then kept going.
That's dope, man.
I mean, that's a great memory. That is a great memory.
That was dope. Seeing Ryan Sandberg do a triple play, start one. That was dope. And then just watching young Andre Dawson, man, wondering how he didn't stain his jersey with curl juice.
With the Soul Glow.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
So I'm like, man, how is his jersey so bright white? He got that curl that's like touching the shoulders, man. Like, how is he doing it?
Hey, that's the original drip.
It is your curl. A carefree curl is the original curl. You are absolutely right.
Oh, man, so it sounds like you've been a Cubs fan for a very long time. Who is your favorite Cubs player of all time?
I have, because I met him, it used to be Sean Dunston, and then when I met him at Cubs Fest, it became Andre Dawson.
Okay.
Because he was a really nice dude. Like, Andre Dawson, when I met him at a Cubs event, was just like, it's not like it is now where it's like $50 to get an autograph.
Yeah.
You can't talk to them for no amount of time. Like, I got to talk to him, like legit talk baseball about. Even though I was still learning the game, I'm just sitting there talking like, hey, what was it like to do this and what's it like to do that? What's it like to hit a home run? And he entertained my little kid ass questions.
I think he understood. Yeah, he understood being a small kid and especially. In the African American, there's not many of us in the sport.
Yeah.
And now I have a small African American kid asking me all these questions, and he's excited about baseball. Yeah. I'm gonna give him his time. Yeah. So you might have got more time than anybody else in that factor. Like, I'm gonna encourage him to pursue the love of baseball, and that's what I talk to E about this a lot. That there's not many in the game right now
Yeah.
And that's a sad situation. I mean, I talk to Curtis Grandison off and on, and we talk about this all the time, and it's just like he's doing so much for UIC baseball and his organization. He has a charity event every November, and he's trying to do so much for the community to get baseball back into that community, but it's just not happening.
Well, I mean, I think
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. Baseball is a tough sell because it's such a lengthy process compared to the other sports.
Yeah,
it's not the get out of the hood now sport.
It's not the sexy sport.
And NFL is. It's not the sexiest. It may be the most secure once you get in it, because those contracts are lengthy and forever. And much like the NBA, they are buying. Like an NBA contract is ironclad.
Right.
It's people
Guaranteed.
still getting paid right now. Larry Brown receives 3 NBA checks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and once again, the NFL and NBA quick turnarounds. Like, oh, they get their eyes on me, I get in. You at least, even if you're a bust, you get a few mil to start your life off with.
Right.
Even if you're a bust. With baseball, it's a grind. You gotta go through the farm system. Gotta play in the minors. You gotta make a little more than minimum wage to like get through this while you sacrificing your body. It's not as appealing. I'd be the first person to say it is not as appealing, but I think it's worth it.
It sure is.
I think it's worth going through that, because chances are, you'll find out what you really can and can't do, and if this is for you in the farm system. You find that out. Like, is baseball really going to be your life? That's where you find it out at.
So,
but it should be built up more in high schools in the inner city, and it's not like it used to.
No.
Like, baseball used to be big amongst high schools as well as basketball in Chicago, and it's not the same.
I think, it's kind of touching on that same vein. I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of competition for especially young black men in Chicago, across the country, for your services. Whether, hey, I want to be a football player. Hey, I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a musician. There's a lot. I want to be an artist. There is a lot of competition for attention, and how to build up your life. Now, what's the quickest way to get out the hood? Well, be good at basketball, because all you need is a ball and a hoop. Baseball, you need equipment. You need to be able to travel. You need this. You need that. And unless somebody's funding that program, good luck. And all you need, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to be a musician, hey, get on YouTube, make some noise, see if someone notices you, and see if you can catch on. It's happened to plenty of musicians, and it's just, there's a lot of competition, like I said, for attention, for every kid that's out there just trying to make some money and trying to get out the hood, or some that want to stay in the hood. You know what I mean? Like, you got a lot of kids that make some money selling drugs. You know what I mean? And it's just a big struggle. How do we build up these programs? You have to have something where people seem that they can get an immediate response and immediate wealth. And that's the problem, is that especially with this generation now, a lot of people don't want to work for that. They're just waiting for that bag to show up in their front step without really having to do much.
Yeah, it's an instant gratification microwave thing right now. Like, the quicker you can get it, the better you tend to feel about it. And people are very accepting of flash in the pan. Yeah. Like people are very willing to accept, I'll take this $1 million now, instead of saying, let me work and secure 10 million. Like, let me work hard for these next 5 years and secure 10 million. But they take the $1 million. Yeah. They take the first $1 million up front. They're like, I'll take that signing bonus. I'll take that endorsement deal right away. And then when they don't end up being able to, take Lonzo Ball, did not live up to the hype.
Nope.
Did not live up to the hype. And now, he's gonna be one of those random NBA journeymen bouncing team to team and out of the league before he's 30.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's gonna stick around.
He's gonna stick around for a little bit, but
last thing we're seeing about him is that the Cubs or not the Cubs, the Bulls are looking like they have some mutual interest there. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. I know our boy Mike Logic is gonna lose his mind if the Bulls get Lonzo Ball, because he sure does love them balls.
I feel shocked.
Post. I just do it in post.
All right, man. Before we transition, because I see Z over here.
No, we're fine. I'm
itching.
not.
He's itching. I know he.
No, I'm not at all. I wanted to continue this talk. This is a really good talk, because I have former students that went to the NFL, and like you said, I'm going to take that quick check. Okay, do you understand what taxes are? Because when you're an NFL player, you have to pay taxes on every state
Yeah.
that you play for. And if you don't set that money aside, you're going to have to pay it with no money because you spent all your money because you were being flashy.
Well, you look at what happened a couple years ago when the NFL went on strike, and you had a lot of these players borrowing money from coaches and like financial institutions with a crazy markup on the VIG. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And yeah. So I mean, like it's not something that gets eliminated when you join the NFL and you get a contract. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is that I try to remind people is that just like you get a check every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, NFL players get paid the same way. So the thing is that the problem is that they're living beyond their means and they're waiting. And you can still live paycheck to paycheck if your check is $1 million every week. You know what I mean?
That's how they live.
And that's exactly what it is.
I was a banker for about 4 or 5 different Bears players. And they would call me personally like, hey, Z, I'm coming through after practice. I need 10 G's. And I'm like, you don't need 10 G's. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. You don't need 10 G's. You know what I'm saying?
They're like, how many Taco Tuesdays are you hitting up, man? What's up?
Well, the thing, it was, what's his name? The kid from Michigan that didn't pan out.
For the Bears?
Yeah, the receiver.
Oh, David Terrell?
David Terrell.
Yeah.
He's like, Zeke.
David.
Yeah, he come in there and this and that. And then I would have Darius Miles. Hey, Z, I need 25 G's. I'm like, man, I can't get you 25 G's right now on a dime. And he's like, I'm around the corner. No, sorry, bro. Yeah, even if you show up, he showed up with one of the Destiny Child's chicks, the skinny one. And he's introducing me. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, but like I gotta go back to work because I can get fired for just talking to you outside.
Right.
And so yeah, I would have all these guys in there. I'm like, dude, you have to pay taxes because you played in Boston and you played in Miami. You gotta pay these taxes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they would quickly spend easily $50,000 in a week.
That's insane.
Man, if I was in the NFL, especially with those contracts not being guaranteed,
Exactly.
knowing that you could get cut week 2 and be paycheckless for the rest of the year,
Right.
I would be so careful with that money.
Yes.
Because once again, it's not the NBA where your money's ironclad. Them contracts is guaranteed from the jump. You
Right.
sign for $30 million.
That's what you're getting.
Even if they boot you off the team that season, you're getting that $30 million.
Absolutely.
You know, so that, and it's the same with baseball. Baseball contracts hard guaranteed. Bobby Bonilla, man, it was just Bobby Bonilla.
We were just
a couple days.
Right.
It was just Bobby Bonilla day.
He still got another 6 years to go.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, so if in the NFL especially, I would do and the contracts are smaller.
Yes.
You're a lineman getting paid $300,000 this year, and you sacrifice a lot of your body. I would definitely be careful with how I spent my money.
And the average career of an NFL player is about a little less than 3 years.
3.5, something like that.
Like from 2.5 to 3.5 years. And especially those specialty positions where, they'll draft a wide receiver and you know what? We don't need a wide receiver. Now you're playing linebacker. And you've never played linebacker and you're like, well, you're not good. You're getting cut. Sorry.
Now you look at what happened with Hester and the way that he kind of got bounced around, and I think the Bears finally realized you're only a special teamer. They should have realized it a lot earlier.
Well, he's not the sharpest crayon in the box.
Hey, but listen, before we transition over to some White Sox moments, because that's what I said. I know Z is itching, waiting for some White Sox.
I love talking baseball.
Yeah. Tell us aside from the 16 World Series, your favorite Chicago Cubs game moment.
My favorite Chicago Cubs game outside of the World Series. I as an adult, I came back I was at Eastern Illinois University for a year in the late 90s. I came back and bought some random Cubs tickets. They were playing the Mets. And I got to see, I can't think of the name of the pitcher, but man, did they own Piazza. I mean, they bitched him up the whole game. It was a thing of beauty. I wish I could put the name of it. He was like, every time, like you could see the frustration on Piazza's face in like the replays and stuff. Because I couldn't see his face obviously where I was sitting. But I enjoyed the game so much that I like watched the rebroadcast on WGN in an ungodly hour of the morning. And you could see the frustration on Mike Piazza's face. He's like, why the fuck can I hit this dude? And I want to say it wasn't even one of our higher class pitchers at the time. Like just some rotation guy who just happened to be on fucking fire.
Like Alec Mills when he had a no hitter.
Yeah. So
Out of nowhere.
like that, man. It's like, just out of nowhere, man. This dude was just stymieing the Mets, man, and the Cubs were just hitting runs. I was like, this is great. Like, this is the greatest Cubs game ever. Let me tell you, I paid for some stinkers. I've paid. I'm like, oh my god, this is.
Oh, we've all done that. We've all been to stinkers. What about you, E?
So I tell you, I got a couple of moments. One, I'll tell you we've been over this on the show before. I was not a baseball fan. I didn't care about baseball until the race between Sosa and McGuire. Seeing Sammy Sosa hit some home runs. I remember being at a game. I was actually just talking to someone about this in a bar the other night. We went to a doubleheader. It was me and my boy Johnny, who was one of my best friends in high school. We went to the game, and we went to the early game, and they won. And I think Sammy Sosa hit a walk off in the 11th or whatever. And we left, and now we're chilling at Sluggers or wherever we're at. And second game comes over. They didn't win. It's kind of drizzling outside now, and we're driving around, and we've been drinking because that's what we do. And we see all the fans coming out of the Wrigley. He's like, "Oh man, what happened?" They're like, "Oh, they lost." I was like, "Oh, we went to the good game." So we're like clowning everybody out there. It's like, yeah. And then just that, and going to Wrigley, and used to be able to bounce around seats a little bit more. Now they're because the World Series is a little bit more stringent. But yeah, I mean, just sitting there and taking in Wrigley, just walking up those steps and just seeing the field. It's just like when you go to the United Center, when you're walking through the concourse and you get a glimpse of the court, and you're like, oh man, I'm here again. Like it's just that feeling when you come back. So let's take a quick break right here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some White Sox.
Oh yeah, White Sox.
Oh well, there's strikes 2 and 3 right there.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15. TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with E-Rock and Big Z.
Yeah.
Again, just to remind you guys, we do have our special guest today. The homie Cochise SoulStar is here, and we're going to continue our Cubs conversation with all these moves that went down. We've been talking a little bit about our favorite moments, our Cubs moments, and what I want to do is I want to ask our White Sox fan, what is your favorite Cubs moment?
So one of my favorite moments is I worked at Jewel at South Point and Addison. And obviously that's Cubs, the hood, and you know what? All of my friends are Cub fans, and I'm in minority, so I'm like whatever. But I was a fan of Sammy Sosa, and Sammy Sosa brought baseball back along with Mark McGuire during the home run chase, and working during that era was just amazing to be, because I was a bag boy, and then they're like, oh, want to go get carts? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go outside. And I would take my time, and it'd be like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you can still see the aura of the Wrigley Field from there. You see all the lights and whatever. And when Sammy would hit a home run, you would hear the rumble, and I'm like, I'm a mile away, and I can hear this rumble, and it was literally goosebumps to feel that. And I'm not even a Cub fan, but I respected the Cubs. My favorite player growing up was Ryan Sandberg until Frank Thomas came up. So I respected the team, but that was amazing. And a lot of Cub players and their wives would show up at the Jewel Osco, so I would see a lot of the players there.
And that's
Kerry Wood especially.
That's what I was saying before, is that the main reason that I was even a baseball fan, period, is because of what Sammy and McGuire did, and that's something we talked about when that terrible documentary.
That's what I was going to say. That was a terrible documentary because it didn't give any love for Sammy.
The Long Gone Summer, yeah. I mean, I would say along with that, even though he played so much before I was even aware that baseball existed, Ron Santo on the radio, it was like That was like my baseball grandfather. I was just like I was saying. I was just talking to someone the other day when I still remember where I was when Ron Santo passed away.
That was sad.
And it was the only. And I'm not an autograph seeker. I don't go to search them out. I used to work with a guy years ago who was a big autograph guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I got a couple of Ron Santos." I says, "I'll buy one of those Ron." He had already passed, and I was like,
Still.
I loved him. I remember it just felt like it was just something right about hearing him root for the Cubs, being a Cub, and his two prosthetic legs, one with the pinstripes, one with the Cubby blue. He was just so much about the Cubs, and he was just so much fun. And even in his later years when he was just like old and kind of just there kind of watching the games with Pat Hughes, kind of making sure that, hey, you're still at the game, don't burn the rug on your head anymore and stuff like that. So it was just them two and
Nice.
the way they interacted. It was just so much fun, and I just loved listening to Ron Santo.
What we're really grinding my gears about Ron Santos is that he wasn't inducted while he was alive. He was
That's
well
honest.
worthy way before he did
He
that.
been inducted in the Hall of Fame while he was alive. Yeah, I 100% agree that
That
Ron
pissed me
Santo.
off so
Oh,
bad.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, he deserved to have put the jacket on, to have given a speech, to seen his bust. He deserved all of it.
It was more of a smack in the face.
Yeah,
It was
afterwards,
an
yeah.
insult to wait till he passed away, because every single year when it came time to announce the inductees, you saw him sitting by the phone and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And to me, I'm not going to say that I didn't want him in the Hall of Fame, but to me, it's like, yo, you spent all that time telling him no. If he's not in, he's not in.
Right.
Don't do it just because he passed away to make the fans happy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It felt like an empty gesture.
It
felt
was,
empty.
yes, definitely.
It felt, yeah, it supremely felt empty, and it was one of the few. It was one of those few times where I kind of like went out there and had like one of those major sports rants. Like this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is absolutely terrible.
So
Because
Go ahead.
because he deserves better than that.
So, while we're kind of talking about, decisions by Major League Baseball and things like that, what is your take on the management and the ownership of the Cubs right now? What do you think about the Ricketts?
Oh, man.
I have to. Okay, it's like having the rich uncle you can't stand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like like the potential for you to do some cool shit is there, but y'all fucking up. It's like okay, y'all you out of all the major decisions, you got 40% of them right. It got us a World Series. They just stay in that 40%. Stop going 30. Stop going 20. Like go up, not down. Like they came in, they did almost everything they need to do initially to get us that World Series.
Yeah.
We got the management, we got the manager, we got the players, we got the better farm system.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, this is dope. And then
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
then it started acting like, then everything started becoming, we won the World Series. And then their attitude first started seeming like Cubs prior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you won it. Now you're like, yeah, you guys can go back to being lovable losers. The stands are filled. We're still selling merch. We're still making money off the tickets. So if you can compete, cool. But if you can't, we already seen the numbers.
I think
we can live off the World Series fame for a couple
exactly.
more years.
They lived off the cape of the World Series, and what they started doing is like, oh, we got good enough product that the fans are going to show up. I mean, and I'm going to say this: fans showed up regardless of how the team was doing. You guys always have a amazing fan base.
Yes.
No matter if the Cubs are in last place or in first place, the stadium is full, and you guys get a lot of slack for it because whatever. But what the Ricketts started doing is say, whoa, we can play Monopoly here now, and we can buy all the rooftops and alienate the small business owners, the people that put in the 20 and 30 years of owning that building and getting some kind of revenue. I'm going to take that away from them. Hey, we're going to buy all the bars around here too.
I mean, they hold on. First of all, they started doing
that.
that already. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a shock after the World Series. This is the way that I'll describe it. This is, you remember? I don't know if it's still on there, but the Facebook relationship status. It's complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look at it two ways. This is the ownership and the management that put the Cubs in place to win a World Series, and they did.
Yes.
And regardless of what you think about the moves that happened prior or after that, the thing is that we witnessed the best stretch of Cubs baseball in the history of the Cubs.
Yeah.
When you talk about the fact that in 15 they went and they just didn't make it. 16 they won. They kept winning the division and kept going to the playoffs and even in the COVID year when we're like they're toast, they won the division last year.
Right.
So this is a team that was winning, and this is my most frustrating thing about the outlash and the backlash about the management and your organization and your GM and your president, that people are like, I will never watch the Cubs again because they traded my favorite player. I'm like, you guys, these are the same people that didn't say a damn thing when they were losing 12 straight. But all of a sudden, them players that were on the team when they lost 12 straight, you want them back? Are you a Cubs fan or only the fan of the player? That was my most frustrating thing. You're basically telling me you are not a Cubs fan. You are a fan of that player. You came in because you thought they were good and you wanted, oh, it's so much fun. Hey, you're either a fan of the team or you're a fan of the player. And you can be both. But don't sit here and tell me that you hate the Cubs because they got rid of your player. It doesn't work that way.
Not at all.
You're either in or you're out.
I 100% agree with you there. But I also think marketing has, the Cubs marketing has something to do with that, because a lot of their top tier names got most of the marketing focus. Not saying that you shouldn't. Of course, Jordan is your highlight, so he gets the focus. But they did, like, especially Rizzo, I felt, they put him as almost a solo. It was almost like Anthony Rizzo and the Cubs in some of their marketing.
Yeah.
The way it was presented,
Or
he
Javi.
was always, him and Javi pushed to the forefront. Everyone else pushed to the back. So I think when you're selling a product, the most simple-minded individual will be like, oh, that guy, number whatever, Rizzo, he's always up front. I'm going to look into him. And then you get into that thing where, like, I'm a Rizzo fan, not a Cubs fan. Like, people tell me now, I'm a LeBron James fan, not a Lakers fan. You know what I'm saying? It's that sort of mentality. So, yeah, you're right. These players still exist. You take your fandom to the Yankees then. You're a Rizzo fan, take your Rizzo fandom to the Yankees.
And you could still be a fan of Rizzo as an individual. You can be a fan of KB on the Giants.
Yeah.
You can be a fan of Javi on the Mets. You can be, if we're going to talk about White Sox, I don't know if you want to be a fan of the White Sox.
Wow.
Hey. And that's, here's the thing. And I've said it. I've been very vocal about the fact that I think the whole North side, South side thing is silly.
It's silly.
I'm more worried about the stupid Cardinals and the stupid Brewers.
Agreed.
That annoys me a hell of a lot more than, oh, the White Sox are doing good. My buddy Steve, who I work with, and he's a big Cubs fan, he's like, well, the White Sox did it. And I says, hey, I'll pay attention. Like, I know what the White Sox are doing. Why is this guy in the lineup? I don't care, Steve. I'm tired to tell you. He goes, yeah, with the front of the jersey still says Chicago. I was like, that's cool. So does the Firing. I don't care about them either. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of who I'm a fan of. I can respect what the White Sox are doing. I can pay attention. I can be happy for my White Sox friends if they do well this season. But doesn't mean I have to have an emotional connection to that team, because I don't. I'm sorry to tell you that. I'll be happy if they win. I'm happy that a Chicago team is winning.
Yes.
But I don't have that emotional connection to that team.
So this is one thing that bothered me, because I went up to Milwaukee, or Wrigley North, because it was
So-called.
Well, that day it was Comiskey North, and we took over that ballpark, and there was a couple Cubs fans there, and they're wearing the Cubs gear, and I'm like, hey, whatever, it doesn't bother me either way. And they're booing the White Sox. I'm like, you're not that sharp, huh? If we beat the Brewers, it helps you out.
Right.
So why are you cheering against a Chicago team that's going to help you out? That just made no sense.
Well, yeah, the North Side South Side rivalry got dumb to me the older I got.
Yes.
Of course,
Yes.
as a teenager, I'm like, well, hell yeah. Even though I lived on the South Side, like I was deep South, 84th and Dorchester. I was in Stock. I was way South. But I was. So that was tough. That was tough traveling with my Cubs gear on in the '90s. Deep on the South Side. But the older I got, the more I realized I'm like, what they do has no bearing on us whatsoever.
Yep.
So
not at all.
Who cares? Like, unless we're facing them in the work, because like here's outside of the Crosstown series, we're not going to see them again unless it's the World Series,
Right.
which would be great. That's my dream World Series
of
versus
course.
Sox Club. That's my dream World Series. But as I got older, I stopped really caring what the Sox did, or even the times that I was like kind of generally interested in the Sox, it was always like, oh, that's cool, they're doing all right, or they're just as bad as us.
Exactly.
Whatever the case may be. But I never really got like the whole. I never subscribed to like the voracious hate of the Sox. I'm like, why? Like, what did they do to me?
You're mad at someone because their
Wear a piece of clothing.
fandom. Well, their fandom is based on, I grew up nearest to this park versus the park you grew up nearest. So where's my fandom lie? Well, it lies to who's local to me.
Oh yeah,
Just
like you grew up on the north side and you're a Sox fan. What's wrong with you?
Well, it's the same reason why you, if you're from Chicago, more than likely you are a Chicago Bulls and Sox and Bears fan versus someone that lives in Indianapolis. You know what I mean? Like, they're not in our division.
No.
You're a fan of who you're a fan of, typically based on your geography, unless there's a special player that you just, hey, that's what brought me into the sport. I'm gonna be a fan of that player and that team for that reason. So it's just silly.
I mean, real talk. I was a Joe Montana San Francisco 49ers fan. Montana Rice 49ers.
Of course.
I love them.
100%.
Absolutely love them. But I was also not a full-on San Francisco 49ers fan.
You're a fan of the player.
Once Steve Young, and even though I respected what Steve Young and everyone else did after Joe Montana, I thought they were a really dope team. I was kind of like, Jerry Rice I love Jerry Rice, but I wasn't the same fan as I was when Montana was quarterback. I actually became a Chiefs fan when he became their quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
I'm with you.
I was a fan of Joe Montana, so wherever he went, I rooted for him.
All right, so while we're talking about the South Side, we've been doing a lot of Cubs today.
Yeah, a lot of Cubs stuff.
And we're going to keep talking about Cubs players because somehow the White Sox got some of our players. But let's go ahead and shoot this over. And Z, tell us what's going on the South Side.
White Sox, go, White Sox. Let's go, White Sox. We're with you all.
The South Side, the Chicago White Sox. All right, so we got 4 stories for you, and we'll break all these down. Story number 1 is kind of two-parted because Eloy's back.
Oh, wow.
And he's hurt again.
Oh, no.
So he's no longer going to be Mr. Spider-Man. He's going to be Mr. Glass. Yeah, he actually played a really good left field when he was in there. And again, Sox fandom was like, why is he in left field? He should be a DH. I'm like, look, guy, he's going to play left field at least once or twice a week.
I said the same thing.
Again, he worked on his craft. He was told in the minor leagues, if you do not put in the work in left field or right field or center field, you're going to be the youngest DH. And that's going to be your job.
Yeah.
And if you want to play left field, you got to get better.
Can he play first base?
No, we have enough first basemen.
No, I'm just saying, like,
No, he
if
can't.
you're looking for a spot, you know
No,
what I mean?
he
Like,
can't. No.
Ugh.
No.
So is he Spider-Man or Spoderman? Like the fake?
He's Mr. Glass. He's about to be in a wheelchair.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He's going to have the handicap parking spot and everything.
Well, that's Professor X, but he's not smart enough for that.
No, he's not smart enough for that. No, not at all. All right, and then second part, and this is something that I was talking to E off air that really irked me because I was at the Sox game on Friday, and Abreu got beamed in the head by a pitcher.
Yeah.
I can't remember the pitcher's name off the top of my head, but it was bad. I don't know, Sean, did you see that?
I only heard about it. I didn't see it. I didn't get the chance to. I didn't check the replay on that. I just heard about it. I read it in a blurb.
Yeah, so
it was like dead in his ear.
Yeah, so the pitch came. It was a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball, and it just slipped off the pitcher's hand. And he tried to get away. He tried to turn away, and when he turned away, it hit him right on the side of the head, took him down. He was woozy. He's a big man.
Yeah,
and he went down, and you had LaRussa jogging out there. It took about 20 minutes for him to get the home plate and everything, but he was hot. He went after their catcher, started talking crap to him, and then the benches, got emptied. The pitcher was on the floor, like almost in a fetal position because he was very remorseful.
He was crushed.
Yeah, he did not want to do that, and you can tell that it wasn't like that.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional from the sounds of it, but
he's been hit every single game of this series with the Guardians. So
really,
yes. He just got hit earlier. He just got hit earlier this game on Sunday.
There's a weird dynamic between those two teams because for some reason they sent their Gold Glove second baseman to the White Sox.
Yes, they
when
did.
They're in second in the same division. It's weird.
Well, yeah, we don't know.
Okay. I saw that, and I didn't delve into it too deeply, but that struck me. I'm like, wait a second, that dude is dope.
Yeah.
Why would they? And you're in the same division. Why would they? What was the sense behind that?
So the trade deadline, like we talked about, was the craziest in 20 years, and the Sox made out with some great additions from the Central Division rivals. Well, they're not. Well, one of them is a rival because fandom, you can say rivals.
No,
right?
the Indians are definitely a rival.
Well, I'm saying the Cubs. People like we just talked about that whole rivalry, that stupid rivalry. That's why I said rivals. Yeah. All right, let's start off with Cesar Hernandez, who we're talking about, coming over from the Guardians of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. He is a Gold Glove second baseman. He won a Gold Glove last year. Yes, it's a shortened season, but it's still Gold Glove. In exchange for minor league left-hander Connor Plinkton. So he's just one of those lower level pitchers that we just sent out there. Mm-hmm. And then Chicago released right-hander Tyler Johnson, who was on our roster. Another guy that's just, a journeyman. And they made room. So this all stems from Nick Madrigal tearing his hamstring. Mm-hmm. So if you have no one that can hit, because Nick Madrigal's a contact hitter. He's going to hit 300. He's going to get 150 hits a season.
Can't wait.
You need contact hitters. That's why you traded for him. That's why you traded for him. He's going to get on base. He doesn't strike out.
That's what made me pull out my Bart Scott, because that was the biggest problem with Javi, with KB, with Rizzo. You can't swing for the fence every time you come up to the bat.
You need people on base.
And they sat there and they tell you, we're going to fix the offense is broken. We're going to fix the offense. How you fix the offense with the same players out there every single game? You're not changing anything.
You know what's missing? You know what's missing from the game in general is a Tony Gwynn type.
Yes.
The type that does not hit the home run often, but the on base percentage is fucking amazing.
Yes.
Because base, being on base alone changes stratagem for every team.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Once you get a guy in scoring position, whether it be first, second, third, however he gets there, once that guy's out there, your pitcher is immediately distracted. Have to think of 50 million different things already. Now you got another 10 million on top.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I miss the players who would just hit. Like, where are the pure hit? Like, I'm the best thing about me is I hit doubles. Like, where are those guys in the game today?
Those are your Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
Those are your Nick Madrigal. They're all spread out throughout the league, but there's very few of them.
Nicky two strikes.
So that's what you got now.
Yeah, there used to be more of them,
of course,
per team. There used to be one guy almost on every squad that no matter what, you knew was getting on base in the game.
Yeah.
Whether he scored or not was negotiable, but he was like, okay, this guy is about to get me he's about to at least put somebody on base.
Or
advance a runner. Either way, like those were those guys.
A Mickey Morandini or a Mark Grudzelanek?
I got your perfect example.
Ricky Gutierrez?
No, not Ricky Gutierrez. That's when it comes. No, shut up. Freaking, I just lost it because you just distracted. From the Mariners.
Oh, Ichiro?
Yeah, he is the best person.
Ichiro.
He slaps the ball, and then people are like, "Why doesn't he hit home runs?" I'm like, "Have you ever seen him watch? Have you ever watched his batting practice? He can hit 400 home runs.
Right.
He chooses not to. He sets the table for the rest of the team. I'm gonna get on base. I'm gonna get a double. Just push me in." Well, we've all been coaches.
Yeah.
Baseball is the chess of sports.
Yes.
You gotta move. You got everything. Everything is about being 10 steps ahead of the next person, even though you don't know if you're going to get on base or not. But once you are there, it's a game of moves.
Right.
It's a game of moves. So there needs to be those people on every team. Like, if I was building a team, I would look for pure hitters, not home run hitters. You do need some home run hitters, of course, but I would just want the guys getting on base is underrated.
Yes.
In today's MLB.
Well, the thing that changes that analytics, right? The numbers came in, and it's always been part of the sport, but now it's stressed so much. You're like, oh no, well, you don't have to steal bases because the percentage of that helping your team is so low. Well, you know what? If my guy's on first and he steals second, now he's in scoring position All I need is a bunt to get him to third, and I need a fly out, and I score.
Well, I think one of the big things that's going on right now, and it's actually being brought up it's going to be brought up in the winter meetings with the owners.
Shift
is they're talking about banning the shift, and that's been a big, significant change in the way that hitters are able to hit.
So go ahead.
And that's another reason why. Hey, if where my average is going as far as like just a base hit versus like, well, I mean, they put the shift on me. You might as well swing for the fences.
Well, no, you're a major leaguer. You should be able to hit at all directions.
And I don't disagree, but by the same token, you're a major leaguer. You should be able to pinpoint your pitch no matter what. Some guys can't do that. Some guys can throw 100 straight down the middle and can't hit and can't throw a cutter and can't throw a curveball and can't throw a slider. You know what I mean? So you're
I know what
good
you're saying.
at what you're good at.
I got 2 points for you. One, because we've coached here.
Uh-huh.
All right, when you hit ground balls to your kids,
yep,
do you all line them up on all third base because you can only pull the ball?
No.
As a coach, you should be able to hit everywhere, right?
Yeah, but you're also that's the point. The point is that it's the pitcher's job to make you hit where they're trying to get you to hit.
Yes, I agree with that.
So it's not just when I throw it, I'm just tossing it lightly up in
Yes.
the air versus a 101 mile an hour fastball coming from Chapman.
Right, but you got Javi, right? Javi's at the plate.
Oh, Javi don't care.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. If the ball,
Javi a tennis racket, he's swinging.
if the ball's outside, hey, just stick your bat out and you just dump it into right field. If you're right hand.
That's why I always tell my
Small
players.
ball.
I always tell the players, I'm like, look, and it goes for fielding too, because
Yes.
some of these girls will sit there like they got cement feet stuck to the ground.
If it ain't directly to me, I'm not moving.
And I keep telling them, I'm like, it is your job to get to the ball, whether that's fielding or batting.
Mm-hmm.
Put the bat where the ball is. Because don't swing at garbage. I always tell them, if it's too high, hey, it's like tennis. If it's too low, it's like golf. No tennis, no golf. But right in the middle, put that bat where the ball is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait for the perfect pitch because it's never
gonna
happening.
come.
It's never coming. So at least make contact. You know what I mean? Make contact, put the ball in play, and go from there. At least, hey, if they make a mistake, you're on first base. You know, that's the most frustrating thing. But like I said, when you have the shift and you're, for whatever reason, the way you move, you're a lefty, you're a righty, and that ball, when they look at the analytics, and they say, "Yep, he's going to hit it to shortstop,"
and it always happens.
They load up over there, and that's why you got guys like. I want to say Derek Lee was notorious for those double plays.
Yeah,
notorious for that.
Yeah, easy out.
So would you say that with that what you just said, then players have become predictable?
Yes.
Oh, 100%,
and where
yeah.
But they've always been. They've always been. It's just now what they're doing is they're using the analytics to take that to their advantage, because now you can do the shift. So they're like, well, we know this is your. And that's just scouting. That's just anything else.
Right.
When you have such a large sample size, you're able to actually see what's the most probable thing that's going to happen.
The difference between the 80s and 90s and now is that those numbers are available to you at a drop of a dime, right? These guys they take off their hat and they pull out a little card, or it's in their back pocket, like, oh, this is what this guy does. Yep. And now I can know how to pitch. I know where to shift. Yep. And you have all the information with you.
And it's not.
Before you used to have to remember, like, oh yeah, last time we played him, he did this. No, now it's just, hey, here it is.
And it's not like Little League when you sit there and you see the kid that's like 5'11" and 250 pounds and he's supposed to be 12, and you're yelling at your outfielders, "Move back, keep going, don't stop." Hey, tell us about some of these players the White Sox got from the Cubs.
Yeah. So, obviously we got the second baseman. He's been playing very well for us so far. Trade number 2, right-handed reliever Ryan Tepera. After being traded across town, that was thank you, Cubs, to the White Sox in exchange for minor league left-hander Bailey Horn. So you've got a project pitcher. I'm gonna tell you right now, Bailey Horn was in the middle of the pack of prospects. He is. Either you can put him in a bullpen for an inning or two, or you can try to stretch him to be a 5. Depends on what you guys want to do.
Younger guy. I mean, Ryan Tepera, who came over, I want to say from the Rangers. Tepera has been pretty good for us. I want to say in his debut for the Sox,
he gave up a home run.
But I mean, look, we talked about the bottom of their bullpen when you got Tepera, you got Chafin, and you got Kimbrel, and they
were locked down.
I thought for sure Chafin was going to be the guy that went to the White Sox.
Yeah, and I would have loved it.
You know what I mean? I thought that was a better fit for him. I felt like maybe the Dodgers were going to be the ones that get Kimbrel, but if he had to go anywhere, I'm happy he went to the White Sox. Like I said, I'm happy for my White Sox friends that want to see their team do good, and as many good players you can get on that team, good for you. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
All right, so what else?
I'm happy.
Go ahead.
I'm happy for the Sox, actually. Despite the loss, I had, at first I was angry like every other Cubs fan. I was like, what the hell is this? I was mad. I was upset. But then I looked at the long-term consequences and I'm like, okay, this is actually all really good for us. And once again, trading someone to the Sox has no bearing on what we will or won't do as Cubs.
Not.
Right.
It does okay, so if these guys go and shine and they get they glow up and the Sox, rumble through and whatever, they're great. That's good for the city overall.
Yep. Right.
Am I a touch salty as a Cub fan? Just a touch, but I'm not like hating it oh fuck the Sox. I'm like, well, go ahead, guys, get it.
Right.
Do your thing because yeah, I mean,
well, just like the Cubs did, they went and got a Rotis Chapman, and they traded a great prospect who's playing for them now. You do that because you have a chance to get to the championship, and if you don't go all out, then you're as a GM, you're not doing your job.
So one thing that we did talk about a little bit was Craig Kimbrell going over to the White Sox. You guys got a closer that's going to go along. I think he's going to be your closer over Liam Hendricks.
I don't think so.
I think so because
he already talked about it.
I'll tell you what, Kimbrell is a better pitcher than Hendricks. You can say whatever you want. Kimbrell right now came into form, back to form this season. He came back to Craig Kimbrell, and more than likely, I think that Kimbrell is going to be your closer down the stretch.
They're just going to go by. They're going to go by analytics. They're going to say this and that,
and it's whatever. That's just my opinion. But this is what I'll say, is that when we're looking at both teams, and I'm looking at the fact that we just traded our closer, who was very good. The Cubs went and traded for Chapman. And what did he do immediately? Went back to the Yankees.
Right.
So when I want to ask both of you guys, when we think about Javi, Rizzo, or KB, which one of those three do you think is more likely to come back to the Cubs as a free agent?
Bias.
Yeah.
Bias. I think Chicago is better for his brand overall.
Yeah.
Honestly. I think that if anyone comes back, is Bias. I think the love for him here is genuine. His love amongst the community is genuine, but also bottom line, because baseball is a business and he is a business unto himself.
Right.
Chicago is better for his brand.
And
he doesn't have to share much of the spotlight. He won't have. New York is tough.
Yes.
You thought Chicago fans were desperate and bipolar. Yeah. New York is even worse.
New York is tough because pretty much he has the time left in this season to show and prove, or the New York media is going to start calling him trash.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really matter because he's a free agent after the season anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he's a free agent. I think that he would be the more likely candidate. Now, do I see it happening? Probably not, but I think that's the most likely option because his brand was built here, and it's not too late for him to come back to it and be like, all right, when I'm back and I got my money and let's go back into all this bias stuff, bias. He could do that. Or he can take his talents to a smaller market and become big fish, small market, but maybe not win.
Yeah. What about you, Z? What do you think?
I still think it's going to be Bias coming back. I think the KB and Rizzo, the Rizzo brand is done in Chicago.
So I think the most likely player to actually come back, I think that's going to be Rizzo. I think that there's not going to be a ton of money for him out there. And I think that if you're talking about the potential of a player going to another team and then coming back, who has been the Cub? Who's been Mr. Cub for the past 10 years?
Besides Ernie Banks, that's Mr. Rizzo.
For the past 10 years, it's Rizzo. And he's the most beloved. And the funny thing is that I was at Gurney Mills yesterday, and any shop that you went to, the jerseys and the jerseys were 50% off for Bryant.
Time to stock up.
And KB. But I like the thought of Javi being the most likely, and I'm going to tell you why. And we talked about this a little bit in the last episode. When you look at all the free agent shortstops that are going to be coming out this season, you have Carlos Correa, you have Trevor Story, you have the kid in Toronto that's been playing second for them up there, Simeon, and you have Baez. And when you look at between those four, those are pretty big names to be available in free agency. And
they have better numbers.
Who's the best hitter? It's not Baez. Baez is probably either 1 or 1A with Correa as far as the best defensive out of the four. But I mean, offensively, your problem is that you have to make up for those deficiencies that Javi puts in place. I think that Rizzo has done a good job of being a contact hitter. I just think that it just got stale here, and I think that by him leaving, them bringing him in prospects,
Fresh
he can
air.
kind of refresh himself a little bit, just to kind of reset a little bit and kind of give it a second chance. So that's my most likely player to come back to the Cubs.
Well, this became a Cubs segment again.
Yeah. But hey, we did.
Wow.
It's about.
I shut up. I shut up for 40 minutes, and this just became a Cubs segment
It's
again.
about damn time.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, go White Sox. Since we're running out of time here, so we're just going to say go White Sox.
Yeah, all right. So
I'll say it with you. Go Sox. I'll say it with you.
yeah, I'm with.
How about that?
Everybody.
I've been with you all
Yes,
season.
you
I've
have.
been with you all season. I got the receipts. So
No, I get it. You guys are emotional. You're grieving. You're trying to get this off your chest, so that way you don't carry this baggage to the off season.
And we did say this is going to be the therapy session.
Yeah,
Free-
we
free
did.
of charge, no charge.
We did.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
There you go, listeners.
All right, let's take a pause for the cars, and we will be back after this with Stirring the Pot with our special guest, Cochise SoulStar.
Oh yeah.
We all know that 2020 was no joke, and with an ever-changing world climate, many people are looking for a new opportunity. Guys, are you looking for a career that rewards effort and makes you feel valued as a team member? Let me tell you a little about our friends at ACSI. ACSI is a certified RCN business agent. They provide the same RCN services with a personalized touch. Their sales and technician teams work hand in hand, ensuring your experience will be smooth and pleasant. Gone are the days of being transferred from one person to the next. At ACSI, they handle everything from start to finish. It's never been so easy to get internet service. ACSI is a growing Chicagoland company that encourages personal growth and rewards perseverance. As they expand, they're looking for passionate, responsible, and honest professionals to join their team. A career with ACSI means you will be part of a hardworking, flexible, and dynamic team that is a leader in the installation of cable and internet services in the Chicagoland area. Best of all, ACSI was awarded Hacia's 2020 Contractor of the Year Award. Are you ready to grow with a local Chicago company on the rise? Check out acsi.tech and click on careers to get started. That's acsi.tech and click on careers.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with E-Rock and Big Z.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time again, brother.
Uh-oh.
You know what time it is.
Oh, boy.
It's time for Stirring the Pot. All right, E. I am giving you the reins back of this segment because I'm done looking for food, man.
Right. Yeah, we've done
We're exhausted on what food to find already.
we've done quite a bit of food topics, and I figured since we got our special guest, Cochise SoulStar, in the house, let's do music this week.
Oh, boy.
Because we know in this post-COVID, quote-unquote, post-COVID society, 400,000 folks trekked down to Lollapalooza this weekend, right? So my question to you, Lollapalooza, yay or nay? I'm going to let our guest go first.
Yeah.
Nay. I say nay.
I'm going to agree with you. Hell no.
Let's make that 3 for 3, because
What? No, what?
No. There's no
Hell
reason.
no. Hell no.
That's too many people. It's too soon. It's too many people. I get it. The city needed the revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that
My
is.
my prediction is this: Governor Pritzker, Mayor Lightfoot collaborated to get this money in.
Yep.
And then once this is done and the dust is settled and the Delta cases go up the next couple weeks, we're back to shutdown.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
100%, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think you're on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: whether there are people out there that believe it, because I know there's still people who think this is just one giant hoax or whatever.
Right.
Whether you believe it or not, death is happening.
Yeah.
People are sick and people are dying. Whether you think it's from COVID, 5G lines, or whatever, something's happening.
5G line.
Gathering in a large group like that is like that right now. That's the dumbest thing you could do.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I just did the show last night, and until I went on stage, my mask was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like did I take it down and have my drink at the bar? Of course I did. You know, I you know, because I'm vaccinated, I feel somewhat safe. But you know, I'm not 100% out of it because Delta doesn't care if you're vaccinated or not.
No, neither does American Airlines.
Oh man. Oh, that's good. Well done. Well, let me ask you. I mean, like, you know, we've known each other for a while now, and you have gone through your own, you know, issues with health in the past as well. So, I mean, for someone like you, this is especially dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm immunocompromised, not on the level of some other people, but I definitely don't have the full. My body, my white blood cells are not running at 100%.
Right.
So I am extremely careful out there. You know, I've never really stopped socially distancing. Like the past week is probably the closest I've been to strangers in a long time because I had 2 shows this week, and it was really a test. I'm like, I don't know any of you people. Like you know, it's different. Like, you know, because I have various, you know, what they call them pods that existed. Like, you know, so I had like a group of friends that all through the pandemic we still got together and played D&D, at least up until like into the extreme point. Then we switched to online, and then once everyone got vaccinated, we went back to in person. But outside of really those and a couple select others,
yeah,
I haven't been around people.
Yeah,
like real talk. Like I really haven't.
I think
like I have been.
Z and I were together like every week, but I think there was maybe 3 or 4 people that we kind of surrounded ourselves with.
Yeah, that's it.
Family,
yeah, really.
You know what I mean, like that was it.
Yeah, you had your pod, you
right.
had your people who you trusted, or you know, in that regard. And I have my section as well. This was my first time really being out in the general public, and like I had my merch table up for the first time in forever. So like I had to like really, you know, be within close quarters of people.
Right.
And it was a little anxiety causing. So when I see the pictures from Lollapalooza, I'm just like, what the fuck, guys? Like y'all rubbing on each other naked, breathing all over. Like,
It gives you a different perspective outside of like any protocols too. I mean, because you think about like how many times, you know, you're in a circle or whatever like that, someone sparks up a joint, you just pass it to the next person, not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like
you touched it. Yeah.
Or you know, people when the Blackhawks win the cup and everyone's drinking out of that thing, whatever the hell that, you know what I mean? So like, I wonder how cautious people are going to be. And I remember,
I'm not kissing the cup if we win it again.
But the thing is, I remember people saying, I'll never shake hands with anyone ever again. And the first thing you do, as soon as you feel a little bit comfortable, you stick your hand out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just your natural instinct. You know what? Hey, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It's kind of funny because when I was at the show that I did on Thursday, I was at a speakeasy, and one of the hosts of the speakeasy, like they were giving pre-rolls away to people, and the host was already smoking one. He handed me one, and he got offended because I took my lighter and took it over the back, like,
yeah.
You know. Like, that was the only way I was going to accept it from. They look like, hey, I don't have COVID. I was like, I don't know what you got.
Right.
It could be COVID. It could be herpes. It could be anything.
Right. Right. I don't know where you're. I don't know what's been in or out of your mouth. So, like, while I accept. So while I accept your weed, I will also make sure that it is safe for me to. You know, because if it's one thing I know, fire kills everything.
Yeah.
So
that is very true.
You're not lying. Hey, so listen, while we're talking about music a little bit, I mean, tell us about your shows, Fly Nerd Group, everything that you got going on with your music.
Yeah, so I host a weekly web show called Fly Nerd Group. Much like you guys, we talk about hip hop, we talk about comic books, talk about movies, sci-fi, issues in the geek community. And within that, we're putting out an album produced by a Chicago producer, Fifth Element.
Yes. And
I'm also working on my 3rd solo project. It started off as one thing, but now as you know how artists are, we change up and we change things around.
Yep.
So Not Dead Yet is like my latest venture, but I've decided to break it down into 3 volumes. So the first volume I'm working on is called Semi-Automatic Sunday. It's going to have like a real jazzy blues kind of feel. The first single, L Burns, is up on all streaming platforms. So Spotify, Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Not Tidal. Tidal's the only place you can't find it.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. I've been kind of following some of the things that you've been doing for a long time. I remember when you used to have your store and stuff like that. So I mean, like, outside, like you're the quintessential Chicago comic book nerd MC to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, that's love, man. That's love, right? So let me ask you a question, because I have a feeling that you might have already seen all of it that's been available. But one thing that we do like to talk about is shows that we've been watching.
Sir.
And we like to call that "What You Looking At?" And to me, the thing I've been looking at is the new He-Man on Netflix. I'm sure you've seen it. I feel like you probably had like an inside look before it even got published.
Yeah, the bootleg DVD.
So,
Kevin didn't hit me up with an advance, so I had to wait like everybody else.
Okay.
For Netflix to see it, but I watched it in its entirety, and to all the fanboys and all the nostalgia gatekeepers who are complaining, goat shit.
Yeah.
The lore is changed. It is. And it did not focus on He-Man, which was great because He-Man's the least interesting thing about the Masters of the Universe. So, and hey, I had that one. Battle Damage He-Man. I had Battle Damage.
My original from 1984, man.
So, and it's not that I don't like He-Man, but if you look at the lore, he is the most simple. He is the square in that universe. He is what you get. Prince Adam becomes super powerful, beats up people. There's no depth to He-Man.
No,
there isn't.
Absolutely not.
There isn't. And I like that Kevin Smith addressed that, and instead of adding a ton of problems onto Prince Adam and He-Man, he made it a problem for the rest of the world.
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant, personally.
I thought it was cool.
I thought that was the way to take it. Were there other things that I would have maybe done differently here and there? Sure. Maybe not got as much as I love Mark Hamill. One love Mark Hamill. His Skeletor sounded too much like his Joker.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to watch it and then compare and contrast because he is my Joker.
And the original Skeletor voice was amazing. I mean, like it's one of those voices that throughout like the entire show, that's the one that you remember with that kind of high pitched, almost easily, but like completely like you. As soon as he started talking, you knew that was the bad guy.
Yeah, and it's not that Mark Hamill didn't like properly voice act, like as far as like emoting Skeletor. He was great as far as like conveying the purpose, but when you listen to him, it was like all I hear is the Joker.
Yep. Yeah, it's too
you know,
similar.
that's all. Yeah, it was too similar. And I know that Mark Hamill does have range. I mean, he was Skips on regular show. A lot of people didn't know that.
Oh wow.
Mark Hamill was Skips on regular show for years, 10 years or 8 years, however long regular show was on. You know, so he can do other voices. I would have wanted him to expand that or get a different voice actor who can capture Skeletor well.
And they had a lot of voice actors in the show. I mean, I think Lena Headey was in the show. I mean, there was a lot of people. We were just talking about the other guy from Game of Thrones.
The fisherman guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of voice actors on the show.
Liam something. Yeah, he was the guy who was in the he got taught how to read.
Yes.
By the girl that they burned.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's what. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit. But I mean, look.
Yeah, Kevin.
Well, I think you got to think of it this way too. Is like Kevin Smith is like, wait, I get to remake He-Man. I want you, and then I'm gonna get the guy. I'm gonna get Luke / Joker, and I want you to be my guy. So I can't really. The
casting was there.
Maybe you wanted a different guy, but I mean, like Kevin Smith, like I'm not gonna. If you're
I'm not
him,
gonna
you're not passing that up.
I'm gonna get the best of the best, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, and he did get the best of the best. Like overall, the voice cast is phenomenal. It like I said, Mark Hamill does a great job as Skeletor,
right.
But there are moments where you're just like you're ready for him to say Batman. Like you just keep waiting for it. you keep waiting for him to say it, which is why I'm glad that overall Skeletor and He-Man don't dominate the narrative.
Yeah.
It's Teela's story.
It's the masters of the universe, not just He-Man.
Yeah, they address the entire world and they really go into the lore. And I like the fact that we find out why Castle Grayskull is named Castle Grayskull.
Mm-hmm.
We see the previous defenders of Eternia. So all that stuff gets added in, and it's great to me as someone who likes depth in a fantasy world.
Right. Z,
So,
Z,
I'm gonna watch it. Watch it when I get home.
Z, what have you been watching?
Well, Ted Lasso season 2 premiered in the last 2 weeks. So
Ted Lasso.
I watched the last 2 episodes. That has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I been laughing out loud. Literally, like the stuff that the situation he puts himself in is just so comical. You're like, yeah, this can happen.
Yeah.
And then the other show that you recommended last week, Sheboygan or whatever it's called.
Oh, it's Spligadoon or Schmigadoon.
Oh,
Schmigadoon.
Yes.
The musical one.
Yes.
So Leslie Strong just is so good in it.
Cecily Strong.
Cecily Strong, sorry.
Yeah, it's Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key, and this is another Lorne Michaels production. So what you're seeing now is so if for those of you who don't know, because you ain't been paying attention, I'm a big SNL nerd, and that was my whole thing with my homie Mike One that we went through, and you're looking at a lot of these SNL stars over the past 10, 15 years really continue to grow in their roles. Jason Sudeikis, Cecily Strong now in the role and all this stuff. So I mean, like, you're seeing a lot more of the SNL alums actually getting TV shows and being sustained, and like Andy Samberg on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So these guys actually sustaining a career of acting outside of SNL has been phenomenal for me to see these guys grow.
Hey, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a genius of a show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That show is genius. Absolute genius. And I love how the cast has grown and the changes that they've undergone from season 1 to now. Like, I've really felt like I've watched these characters develop and find like really good voices. I'm sad that this is the last season,
right?
But whenever 2 main characters get married, it's like the death knell of a show. It's like kind of time to close the books. You know, once Sam and once in Cheers, once they got married, it's like I don't care.
Well, you know, the thing is specifically about that show, if you take each individual character and separate them, you're like, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. You know, even down to the Sarge, even down to your captain is a stoic, older black man who's gay, and you're just like, he completely and totally breaking the gay stereotype, and you know, and I thought the way he played it was phenomenal. Yeah. It was just like I said, if you take each character out of it individual, you're like, none of this should work. They work so well together. The writing is so good, and it's consistent, and the way that they continue and grow the storyline throughout the show, it was phenomenal. One thing that I want to touch on before we get out of here.
Yeah.
This past week was the 4-year anniversary of us losing our good friend Mike One. You know, he was like I just mentioned, he was he was my SNL buddy. We used to give each other a hard time. I will say over the past 4 years, because of my relationship with Mike, I've met and talked to and just been open to talking to so many different people, Sean here included, because once we kind of realized, we're all a part of the same community, we just start talking more and more and more and just becoming friends with people we might have known of but never really interacted with before. So you know, along with Mike One, the day before, on July 28th was my buddy Bill's birthday, and Mike was with me in New Orleans when Bill passed away.
Oh wow.
So it was Bill's birthday on the 28th, and then the anniversary of Mike passing on the 29th. And for whatever reason, those two within my life, without ever knowing each other, are so connected to one another. It's amazing. So I just wanted to say, you know, we're still thinking about you, Mike. We love you, and I just wanted to give you a shout out and let you know that you're still having an impact on a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely peace to Mike One. Love that guy. He always made me laugh. And it's, you know, sadly, I was talking to him the week before his passing.
Yeah.
And we had just talked about getting together and working out and stuff. And we were supposed to meet up, and then unfortunately, the news dropped. And I was just like, wow, you know. And I wish I can honestly say, like many others, I wish I could have seen the signs. I wish I had recognized that farewell tour. He was visiting so many people that it didn't register in my head that this was him. He was going around and saying goodbye.
Yep.
Wow.
And it wasn't until that unfortunate stuff happened. It made me look at his timeline again. Like I started scrolling back to his timeline,
and I was
everyone. I was like, he decided this a long time ago.
Oh well, yeah. There was a lot of things that he went through, especially in those last few years of his life, and unfortunately, it just kind of came to a head for him.
It's one of those things like I wish I could have read the signs. It's just one of those things like, was there something I went through? I'm sure what many of us went through. Was there something I could have said or done? Yeah,
and that was the thing, is that I actually texted with him that night because I got a random friend request from some dude, and I texted him and I was like, "Hey, Mike, who is this guy? You're mutual friends." He goes, I remember the text because he says, "I don't know, he's nuttier than me and I'm off my meds."
Whoa.
He said that to me that night, and in our typical fashion, I was like, ha ha ha, and it was just left at that, and then I got that call early in the morning the next day, and it was just just thinking about it again just makes me break down. And we've done this a couple times, but I do want to take this opportunity to mention, if you or someone that you know is suicidal, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255.
Not be okay.
It's absolutely
reach out to somebody. Definitely.
Absolutely. All right. That is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. A big thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, ACSI, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 at checkout for 15% off of your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your shirts right now. And don't forget to check out our new friends over at ACSI.Tech and check out their career section to start an exciting new career in the communications industry. Shout out to today's awesome guest host, Sean Akins, a.k.a. Cochise SoulStar. Give it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can check him out every week. Check out Fly Nerd Group. Search him on YouTube. Search him on Facebook. Go and get it and check out his new projects coming out soon. And don't forget, check out Mike Logic Ideal. They got some of these back episodes of the Allnet podcast talking about this NBA final season, this magical season for the Milwaukee Bucks. Check them out. And don't forget to check out the Shy Native Radio podcast, now available on all major platforms. And shout out to Rodesh and shout out to Panic for the beats we played on today's show. Check out paniconthebeat.com for all your Moment merch and gear. And don't forget to check us out. He's the bad man. Don't forget to check us out on social media. You can find us at True Shy Fans on Twitter. That's at True CHI Fans on Twitter and on TikTok. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and reach out to us. Hit the DMs. Give us your Stirring the Pot ideas, your movie recommendations, and tell us what you think about these Cubs trades. We want to hear. If you got something good, we'll put it on the show. And don't forget, you can also reach out to us on our email at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right, y'all. For Big Z, E-Rock, and our boy Cochise SoulStar, we will see you next week for episode 57. Until then,
peace.
Be good to each other.
For the love of sports.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
You have a lot of incest.
That's real.
Shut your mouth.
Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos. That's all. I shouldn't have had those artichoke poppers.